This week on The Watchman, as the movement to deny any Jewish connection to the Temple Mount continues to grow, a team of Israeli archaeologists is reclaiming the history of the world's holiest site. See what they found and how volunteers from around the globe are helping them uncover incredible biblical artifacts.
The Temple Mount is literally a black hole archaeologically. This is our only chance, as far as we can see, to actually study material from the Temple Mount, from within the Temple Mount itself.
Plus, we head to the Dead Sea to learn how one Israeli farmer is working to bring back an ancient biblical plant renowned for its healing powers. It's all this week, only right here on The Watchman. And welcome to The Watchman. To say that a Jewish temple once stood atop the Temple Mount in Jerusalem is not just historical fact, it's just plain common sense. Ancient Roman and Greek writings, and of course the Bible, are just some of the sources that describe in detail both the first temple, Solomon's temple, and the second temple, Herod's temple. The Bible tells us that Solomon's temple was home to the Ark of the Covenant and God's divine presence, while Herod's temple was the place where Jesus taught and chased out the money changers. It's no wonder that the Temple Mount is considered the holiest place in the world and especially sacred to the Jewish people. Now, both temples were eventually destroyed, the first by the Babylonians and the second by the Romans. But if you visit Jerusalem today, you can still see the rubble from the Roman destruction of the Second Temple in the year AD 70. And of course, worshipers still flock to the Western Wall, which was a retaining wall for the Temple Mount. Today, the Temple Mount is home to the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, two Muslim holy sites. But until fairly recently, the fact that two Jewish temples had also stood there was acknowledged fact, even by most Muslim sources. But how times have changed. These days, many Palestinian leaders deny that a Jewish temple ever existed, and the United Nations has passed resolutions in recent years denying any Jewish claim to the Temple Mount or even to Jerusalem. Thankfully, a team of Israeli archaeologists with help from thousands of volunteers is helping to take back the history of the Temple Mount. And what they've found will amaze you. Take a look. Well, Yitzhak, this is exciting. We are here at the relaunch of the Temple Mount Sifting project. Tell us what you're doing here right now, why this is so important.
We are trying to retrieve, save, research, and publish artifacts, archaeological finds that were hidden within the Temple Mount soil. And the Temple Mount has never been excavated before. This is the first ever archaeological finds that come from within the Temple Mount. For us, to prove that the Temple Mount, what the Arabs call Haram esh-Sharif, was the site of the Jewish temple. For us, it's like to prove that water is wet.
Yeah, but it's common sense, right?
It's common sense. We have numerous historical sources, Jewish, Christian, and Muslims, from those that lived in Jerusalem, those outside Jerusalem.
By the way, folks, you probably see people behind us working of all ages. It's exciting. They're sifting through this ancient dirt from the Temple Mount, the holiest place on earth, and who knows what they'll find. You'll see shortly. Yitzhak's going to share some of those amazing finds with us. But look, the reason you're doing this, Yitzhak, why it's necessary, give us that quick background, what happened on the Temple Mount around 1999, I guess, about 20 years ago. Not good. Tell us about it.
So The Muslim authorities excavated a huge pit in order to make a new entrance. Actually, they converted an ancient structure called Solomon's Stables. It's a substructure that was founded during the early Islamic period.
On the Temple Mount?
On the Temple Mount, in the southeastern corner of the Temple Mount, on remains of the Second Temple period. In that location, a huge underground vaulted structure was built later on, and the Crusaders were the last to use it as stables for the horses. And it was out of use during 1,000 years, and then they converted that to a mosque. They changed the status quo on the Temple Mount.
So 400 truckloads of dirt were removed from sacred ground, the Temple Mount, where 3,000 years ago Solomon's temple stood. Who knows what's under that dirt? The Muslim authorities took them from the Temple Mount and just dumped them in the Kidron Valley and elsewhere here in Jerusalem. Yitzhak, I think people at home will be shocked to learn how they did this, why they were allowed to do it.
I was shocked. Many people were shocked.
Yeah.
But I was very interested because I was an archaeological student, third year, and I went with another friend, and we started surveying it. Gabriel Barkai, one of my lecturers in those days, a senior archaeologist in Israel, very famous archaeologist, he joined forces with me, and together it took us about 3 years until we got the permit to do this. There were many obstacles, and in 2004, we began the Sifting project.
So from this dirt, this holy dirt that you retrieved from the Temple Mount, you guys are literally sifting through it meticulously here at these sifting stations, and you have found 500,000 archaeological discoveries in this dirt from the first temple period, second temple period, and beyond, right?
Coins, we have about 7,000 coins. We have about 100 seals, seal impressions. We have thousands of jewelry pieces. Gradually, this information will be absorbed by scholars, by tourist guides, by school books, history books, documentaries, and this will be a common knowledge.
We're going to see some of those archaeological finds that you mentioned in a second. Since this is the relaunch of the Temple Mount Sifting Project, there's a great exhibition set up here, folks. Also, I believe I'm going to do some sifting at one of these stations, and we'll show you how it's done, or they'll show me how it's done. Well, Yitzhak, this is where we can see some of the fruits of your labor, all the hard work you've put in on the Temple Mount Sifting Project over the years. Here we have it, some of your amazing finds.
What we did here, we took different categories of finds and we showed the whole span from the first temple period till today. All of the periods of the Temple Mount. Over here you can see coins. From the first minted coins of the Temple Mount during the Persian period, the time of the return of Zion, the Yehud coins that were minted, the first ever minted coins in Jerusalem and by Jews. Over here you can see, for example, this is Pontius Pilatus.
Pontius Pilate.
Yeah, Pontius Pilate, a coin.
A coin
and
bearing
here
his
you have
name.
Agrippa's, and here you have a half shekel coin that was given as the temple tax, according to the book of Exodus.
So Herod Agrippa, Pontius Pilate, a temple tax.
Yeah. And over here you can see Byzantine coins, early Islamic, and we have also Crusader coins. Some of the Crusader coins that we have are extremely rare.
And it looks like you have some arrowheads here.
And we have arrowheads from the time of King Solomon. This is a very rare one, you know. Peaceful periods don't leave much remains, so only 8 of these were found in the whole land of Israel. So we have 8 of these, and then
First temple period.
This is from the destruction of the first temple by the Babylonians, from the Hashmonean period, the Crusader period. Over here you can see one example of dozens of architectural remains from the Herodian period. And this might even be from the Herodian temple. You can see it was well cut in a very fine way. It's burnt. It's actually probably exploded from the heat.
From the Romans, when the Romans burned the temple.
And we also managed to reconstruct floor tiles from the Herodian period to the colorful geometrical floor patterns that decorated the courts around the temple, Herod's temple. Over there you can see just several samples of the pattern that we managed to reconstruct, and we're still working on more patterns. Wow. To have the whole court with this technique is amazing.
It's amazing. Only here at the Temple Mount Sifting Project, Yitzhak, you're doing such incredible work. Who knows who walked on those pieces right there during the Second Temple period?
Who knows what else will be, what further will be found, and who knows what everything what you see here is found by the people who visit for a 2-hour visit. Yeah. They come for a 2-hour visit, they get an introduction and the sift, and this is a crowdsourcing project because this belongs to everyone.
Well, folks, we're here with our sifting expert, Hillel. He's going to show us how it's done here at the Temple Mount Sifting Project. Okay, Hillel, how do we start? How do we get started here?
Okay, so we have our bucket here. Let's hope it's a lucky one. We're going to pour it out here thusly. Now, believe it or not, the first order of business will be to wash out the bottom of the bucket. Okay. So let's wash it out here. Make sure there's nothing stuck to the bottom. And now we're going to wash our material.
From the Temple Mount.
Okay, we're washing it.
This is called wet sifting, right?
This is called wet sifting, yeah. So the first thing that pops into view is a mosaic tile.
Wow.
You see it has the original plaster that was used to attach it to the ground.
Now you knew right away what that was. You've been doing this a lot.
I've been doing this for about 13 years.
Wow.
So here's a nice piece of pottery that I just found. Now this is not a diagnostic sherd. This is not an indicative sherd. But after years and years of experience, I can tell you that this is probably from the Second Temple period, probably 1st century. So this is about 2,000 years old.
Wow.
Looks to be probably part of a jar of some sort. 2,000 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
From the Second Temple period, amazing. Out of that bucket that Hillel just dumped.
Out of that bucket, yeah.
Gold in that bucket.
We have another piece right here. This is the rim of a bowl. This is the actual rim of a bowl. And you can see the typical wheel burnishing, typical of the 8th century BCE, time of King Hezekiah and Prophet Isaiah. So this is from the First Temple period.
2,700 years
2,700 years ago. And not only is it from the First Temple period, this could have been in the actual temple. So First Temple period and perhaps from the First Temple itself.
You gotta let me hold that.
So that's mind-boggling.
That is mind-boggling. Wow, this is quite possibly from Solomon's temple 2,700 years ago.
The last person to eat from that bowl saw Solomon's temple with his own eyes.
The Temple Mount has never been officially excavated. In some ways, this is as close as we will get to doing that.
The Temple Mount is literally a black hole archaeologically.
Wow.
This is our only chance, as far as we can see, to actually study material from the Temple Mount, from within the Temple Mount itself.
Yeah. Hillel, thank you so much, man. This was awesome. Thanks for showing us how it's done, and I look forward to bringing my daughters here to sift with you next time. Thank you, Hillel. Toda rabah. Thanks again to the team at the Temple Mount Sifting Project for letting us touch a piece of ancient Jerusalem. Well, coming up after the break, in biblical times it was renowned for its healing powers. Now one Israeli farmer is working to bring back the ancient Bomb of Gilead. You won't want to miss this, folks. Stick around.
With over 7 million members, Christians United for Israel is America's largest pro-Israel organization. And for Zion's sake, we will not keep silent. We are educating and empowering millions of Americans to stand with Israel, our greatest ally in the Middle East. The United States and Israel not only share common enemies, we also share common values. At QAEDA, we're speaking with one unified voice to strengthen the indispensable U.S.-Israel alliance. We're fighting against the rising tide of anti-Semitism and making an impact for Israel in communities, the media, on campus, and in our nation's capital. And we need your help. To support the work of Christians United for Israel, visit cufi.org or call the phone number that you see there on your screen. God promises a blessing to those who bless Israel. So join our movement and take a stand for God's land.
And welcome back. It was a legendary plant in the times of the Bible, the Bomb of Gilead. It was used for a variety of purposes, including medicine and healing. But what if this ancient plant could be restored today. One Israeli farmer wants to do exactly that near the shores of the Dead Sea. Take a look.
I started my adventure 10 years ago with a naive and romantic vision to bring back the agriculture of the legendary Bomb of Gilead to the shores of the Dead Sea and to revive the industries that was once driven from it. Our first plans of Bomb of Gilead was brought from Saudi Arabia by the help of a German scientist and a pastor. The seeds was brought to the Botanic Garden in Jerusalem, in Givat Ram. The professionals there succeeded propagating it, but very fast they found out that this plant don't like the chill air of Jerusalem, so they split it for two. Half of it went to the Botanic Garden in Kibbutz En Gedi, and another half went to an incredible woman called Dr. Elaine Soloway from Kibbutz Ktorah at the Araba Desert. I got my first seedlings from Elaine, and together with them I gained a teacher for agriculture. After I got my first seedling, I started playing with them, learning how to grow them, how to propagate them. At that stage, I went to have some consultant from an economic consultant. The conservative consultant told me that I'm crazy, I'm not connected to the ground. He suggested me to focus on tourism. He said that new agriculture, a new industry is much too ambitious. From one hand, I listened to him, but from the other hand, I keep on listening to my heart. But from listening to him, I started making a program for a visitor center. And while thinking that maybe one plant, as important as it is, will not be interesting enough for a tour, I started collecting some other plants. In the beginning, the plants of the incense of the Holy Temple. And then some medical plants from the Bible and perfume plants from the Bible. And then some perfume and medical plants from the desert. And along the years, I became an obsessive collector of medical and perfume plants. And an expert in the field of plants from the Brossurosea family, which is the botanic family of the frankincense and the myrrh. From the Bible, we know that the three Magi gave Miriam, the mother of Jesus, frankincense, myrrh, and gold. There is a claim that the gold is the Bomb of Gilead. First of all, it was more precious than gold. And second, on that time, the Second Temple period, the only ingredient of the anointing oil of the kings of Israel was the Bomb of Gilead. Now, when baby Jesus was born, a spy came to King Herod and told him that the new king of the Jews is going to be born. And this is why King Herod sent his soldiers to kill all the little babies, to slaughter them. And this is why Miriam ran away from Nazareth. In order to be the kings of the Jews, you have to be anointed with the Bomb of Gilead. That was the only ingredient of the anointing oil at that time. And since Jesus was the king, the new king of the Jews, he needed the Bomb of Gilead. So frankincense, myrrh, and Bomb of Gilead are the presents from the three Magi's. And I see myself nowadays as a modern Magi that brings this plant back to humanity.
Thanks again to Guy Ehrlich for hosting us at his incredible farm near the Dead Sea. Folks, Israel is the land of restoration, so why not the Bomb of Gilead? Well, up next, more on Israel's restoration and how an American president played a crucial role in it. Don't move.
America would not be here without Israel and the important lessons of Jerusalem. We owe, in large part, who we are as Americans to that long-standing connection.
We stand with Israel because we believe in right over wrong, in good over evil, in liberty over tyranny.
Modern Israel is the only truly free nation throughout the entire Middle East. It has an enormous respect for religious freedom, a subject of many of our hearts these days.
Kufa has an enormous impact here in Washington, across the country, and across the world. Thank you for your willingness to stand up and engage and fight for America, fight for Israel, and fight for doing what's right.
We must say, not here, not now, not ever. Our nation stands toe-to-toe, back-to-back with the people of Israel because it's God's will.
Welcome back. The United States and Israel have a special bond that is only getting stronger. And it all began on May 14th, 1948, when an American president became the first world leader to recognize the reborn state of Israel. Here's the inside story of how President Harry Truman made history and walked in the footsteps of an ancient biblical Persian king. Take a look.
So much pressure on Harry S. Truman with regard to his decision. Would he support the Jews in their quest to have a rebirth of their homeland, or would he go against them? Because all of the State Department and his Secretary of State, George C. Marshall, all said, don't do it. Don't support Israel. We may be facing World War III against the Soviet Union, and we need Arab oil. It would be a mistake to do this. But Harry Truman was greatly concerned over the 6 million Jews who had died in the Holocaust and over the 1.5 million Jews who had survived. He also knew history very, very well, and he knew the Bible. He had read through the Bible 6 different times in his lifetime. His mother called them Lightfoot Baptists because they were Baptists who liked to dance. And so Truman knew his Bible, and he knew the prophetic words concerning Israel being brought back into their homeland. And so he had to take into account what was best for the United States, but he came to the decision that what would be best for the United States is to support the Jews in their quest for a homeland in Israel. Well, the problem was that he didn't tell anyone what his decision was going to be, and the Zionists were somewhat panicking because the vote was approaching in the United Nations, and they didn't know if Truman would vote for them or if he would go against them. And so they sent their top diplomat, a man named Chaim Weizmann, who was kind of like the Benjamin Franklin of the Zionist movement. He was the one who convinced the British to give them the Balfour Declaration after World War I. Now this is after World War II, and they sent him in again to speak to President Truman, but he wouldn't speak to them. So the Zionists are panicking, and then somebody said, hey, I know that President Truman's best friend is a Jew. His name is Eddie Jacobson. So they called him, they woke him up in the middle of the night, and they said, you got to go to the White House and get Truman to meet with Chaim Weizmann. Eddie Jacobson, on his own dime, flew to Washington, D.C., walked into the White House unannounced and said, I'm here to see the president. And the secretary said, that's fine, just don't talk about Zionism or the rebirth of Israel. And Eddie Jacobson said, that's the only reason I'm here. He walked into the Oval Office, sat down with Truman, and they had small talk, and then he started to talk about Zionism and the vote in the United Nations. Harry Truman said, I'm not talking to you about this, Eddie. I told everybody I'm not talking to anyone. Eddie Jacobson is thinking, what am I going to do? And then he had an idea. He saw a statue of Andrew Jackson on Harry Truman's desk. And he said, Harry, all our lives you've told me about your hero, Andrew Jackson. He said, do you know who my hero is? And Truman said, no, who's your hero, Eddie? He said, my hero is Chaim Weizmann. He's an old man. He's come all the way to America to just meet with you, and you won't meet with him because some of our other leaders were rude to you? Harry, that doesn't sound like you. I thought you could take the heat in this office. So Harry turned around, looked out his window for a while, tapped his fingers on his desk, and turned around and said, go ahead and set up the meeting. So they snuck Chaim Weizmann into the White House so that the press wouldn't see. And it was in those meetings that Harry Truman made his decision to support the rebirth of Israel. And that is why, after a year later, the chief rabbi from Israel came and visited Truman in the White House and said, you are a modern-day Cyrus. And so that is why I wrote this story about Harry Truman.
Up next, my final thoughts on what all this history coming to life today in Israel means for you. Stick around.
From terrorists who would annihilate her with bombs and bullets, to so-called activists that would eliminate her with boycotts and sanctions, Israel's enemies are on the march. In Why Israel, you will learn how to be an active defender of the Jewish state, knowledgeable and powerful as you stand up for truth. You'll receive the biblical evidence proving Israel's special place in God's plan. Learn how his steadfast commitment to his people is a matter of fact not opinion. From its miraculous rebirth as a modern state to the dangerous threats it presently faces, Israel's inspiring journey is laid out in this short booklet. Supporting Israel is a biblical mandate for all Christians. In Why Israel, you will discover why you should care about the Jewish state and what you can do to stand with God's chosen people.
Welcome back to The Watchman. Folks, it's so exciting to be in Israel on a regular basis and to see all of the amazing archaeology and history that we discussed on today's show up close. You know, Jesus said in the Gospel of Luke that if his disciples remained silent, the stones would cry out with the truth. That's literally what's happening in Israel today, as the ancient stones and ruins from Bible times are breathing new life. And our team at Christians United for Israel has a front row seat for all of this. We are America's largest pro-Israel organization with over 7 million members and growing every day. You see the information there on your screen, so call or click and join our movement. And while you're at it, be sure to like us on social media and subscribe to our Watchman YouTube channel. Lots of great, timely information coming to you across all of our QFI platforms, and we're only getting started. So thanks for joining us this week right here on The Watchman. Until next time, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace.